Hi, this is Cole Smithy and your guide to what to see and what to avoid at the movies this week. What a difference a remake can make. Audiences familiar with John Schlesinger's languorous 1967 adaptation of Thomas Hardy's classic novel may have their breath taken away by Thomas Vinterberg's streamlined Women's Lib update.
Christopher! It's your Uncle's will! He's left you everything. Oh my goodness.
For the record, Schlesinger's rendering was the second of now 4 versions of Hardy's 1874 book. Those who haven't seen Schlesinger's original are in for something unexpected and delightful. Much credit goes to screenwriter David Nichols' instincts for fleshing out the dramatic and personality-rich themes in Hardy's story of misplaced affections, creating a modern reading of a headstrong woman living ahead of her time in rural 19th century England. Here is a textbook example of how a remake can improve on an older film. Vinterberg's picture may not come close to the most successful film adaptation of Hardy's work. That would be Roman Polanski's exquisite Tess, based on Tess of the D'Urbervilles, featuring Nastassja Kinski's earth-shattering breakout performance. Carey Mulligan's Bathsheba Everdeen has been imbued with a more 21st century sense of independent womanhood. When the time comes to bathe her farm's sheep, she plunges into the filthy water to help, regardless of the inappropriate dress she wears. Mulligan plays Bathsheba Everdeen with more of an intellectual bent than was afforded Julie Christie's haughty sexpot portrayal of the same role in Schlesinger's film. Christie's Bathsheba veered toward bitchiness, whereas Mulligan's character is more of a sprite who knows how to listen and act. When the shrewd Bathsheba negotiates the cost of her grain at a wholesale market, in this version we witness the details of the transaction. Her introduction, wearing a cordovan leather corset-styled riding jacket, embodies Bathsheba's down-to-earth qualities. Bathsheba rebuffs the marriage of her ostensibly most compatible suitor, Gabriel Oak, brilliantly played by cinema's best-kept secret, Matthias Schoenaerts. Gabriel herds his sheep nearby to the home where Bathsheba lives with her aunt.
It is difficult for a woman to define her feelings in a language chiefly made by men to express theirs.
Having admired her from afar, Gabriel brings a baby sheep as a gift in order to steal a private audience with Bathsheba and make his proposal of marriage. Bathsheba plays coy and keeps herself at a distance. The storyline remains comparatively similar to the 1967 version. Some camera angles seem to match shot for shot. A major exception lies in less emphasis on Bathsheba's firebrand soldier boy suitor, Sergeant Francis Frank Troy, a role Terence Stamp ran away with in Schlesinger's version. Here, the little-known Tom Sturridge inhabits the role with less a physically imposing frame than Stamp's same character. One significant third-act modification of Sturridge's reliably unreliable character elevates the story's most climactic moment to a revelation of horrific proportions. The film's secret weapon is Michael Sheen in the role of Bathsheba's love-struck neighbor William Boldwood, who selflessly awaits her acceptance of a marriage proposal that she blithely incites on a lark. In a scene of self-revelation, Sheen's tragic Boldwood character exposes his subservient romantic identity in a way that stings for the cruelty that it exposes in Bathsheba's otherwise admirable character. She can't resist stringing him along. Bathsheba has a sadistic streak. Sheen's beautifully muted but expressive performance is impeccable. Thomas Vinterberg is best known as a co-founder of the Dogma 95 movement with Lars von Trier, Christian Levering, and Soren Krog Jacobsen. His remarkable 1998 Dogma film, The Celebration, established him as a dynamic auteur able to dig deep into the marrow of familial conditions. As unlikely as it seems on the surface, Vinterberg's transition from a relatively unknown Danish filmmaker and film theorist to the director of what promises to be an enormously successful romantic period drama has an intrinsic logic. He knows how to get to the crux of drama. I give this almost perfect literary adaptation an A-. My sleeper pick is Far From Men, and my guilty pleasure pick is The 100-Year-Old Man Who Climbed Out the Window and Disappeared. My must-have DVDs are Nuri Bilge Ceylan's Winter's Sleep from Adopt Films, Lost Rivers from Icarus Films, and Mr. Selfridge Season 3 from PBS. Thomas Hardy's 19th century novel provides the grist for John Schlesinger's beautifully composed study of independent womanhood in bucolic England. The melodramatic narrative about Bathsheba Everdeen, an independent woman successfully running her own farm, exposes the self-confining roles of three men who pursue the lady's hand in marriage. The frenzied nature of Hardy's madding, which means the same thing as maddening, throng refers to societal demands from which there can be no escape. Bathsheba Everdeen, played by Julie Christie, is a prisoner of her own beauty and of her sex. However keen Bathsheba's sense of business acumen, which allows her farm to prosper, she is a poor judge of character. Each of her three suitors represents a specific type of Englishman whose idealized notions of wooing a woman runs the gambit from humiliating self-debasement to humble servitude to cavalier abuse. Gabriel Oak, played by Alan Bates, is a practical-minded sheep farmer whose forthright marriage proposal Bathsheba rejects out of hand because she doesn't love him. Soon thereafter, a rogue herding dog ruins Gabriel's livestock plans. He is left with little choice but to work for the woman he once hoped to marry and have children with as her farm's supervisor. Bathsheba is a ball of confusion. She is only capable of loving a man who can tame her. Such a cad appears in the guise of Terence Stamp's Sergeant Troy, a hot-blooded soldier in love with himself. When Troy's fiancée Fanny Robin shows up late for their wedding because she mistakenly waited at the wrong church, he punishes her by retracting his offer of marriage. After achieving his conquest of Bathsheba, Troy promptly loses interest. Troy may be a great romp in the hay, but he has the attention span of a flea and even less loyalty, at least when it comes to a trophy such as Bathsheba Everdeen. At best, he's a showman. If there's one problem with the film's casting, it's that Terence Stamp's unrestrained performance overpowers the film. Frederick Raphael's script adaptation exacerbates the issue with a needless circus show subplot that sidetracks the narrative. Bathsheba's suitors are just as trapped in societally imposed stereotypes as she is. Even after leaving the army, Troy carries himself as a man away on leave. He's much happier drinking with the boys than he is tending to his wife's needs. Peter Finch's William Boldwood is a wealthy estate owner with his heart displayed prominently on his sleeve. Mr. Boldwood falls prey to a girlish prank, which Bathsheba plays, in which she sends him a valentine with the words, "Marry me," embossed on the outside. The literal-minded Boldwood takes the bait so hard that even after learning of its deception, he remains stuck in a fog of empty romantic hopes. Visually lush and powerfully acted by a quartet of England's finest actors, John Schlesinger's Far From the Madding Crowd is admirable in spite of its scattered narrative focus and flaws in its direction. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to turn your cell phones off when you're walking, driving a car, or watching a movie.